Well, good evening, everyone. It's 7:31 Central Time. I'm located in Illinois. So let us get started and hopefully more people will join. But right now, we are very glad that you have joined us. And so I am Mita Mickens Baker. I'm a talent acquisition specialist at State Farm Insurance Companies. And well, we welcome you to the legal neighborhood. Get it? Good neighbor. The legal neighborhood in the insurance industry. And this panel is hosted by State Farm Insurance, as you might have noticed from our various backgrounds. Perhaps you know our slogans, like a good neighbor, State Farm is there. Or you might have heard State Farm has great rates, thanks to our dear Jake. You may even have a State Farm agent, or you likely know where one or more agents are located because there are more State Farm agents than there are McDonald's in the United States. Now, State Farm's mission is to help people manage the risk of everyday life, recover from the unexpected, and realize their dreams. Those traits were started 100 years ago when our founder started an insurance company that would treat people fairly and honestly. And that still defines us today. Today, we are the #1 auto and homeowners insurance provider in the nation. And therefore, behind our more than 19,000 agents are over 60,000 operations employees in underwriting, claims, technology, finance, human resources, and of course, for your interest, legal careers. So in this hour, you'll get to meet 4 members of our legal team and learn about potential options for your law career. Our panelists are Natalie Brunson Wheeler and Phelan Simpkins from our corporate headquarters here in Bloomington, Illinois. Bridget Broussard from our Claims Litigation Council in Lafayette, Louisiana. And Roger Johnson from the Personal Injury Protection, or PIPIP, and Bodily Injury, or BI, Claims Litigation Council in Orlando, Florida. So I'm going to give each of them a moment to introduce themselves. And so if you would please tell our audience a little about you. Natalie, why don't we start with you?
Thank you, Mita. Hopefully everyone can hear me. So good evening, everyone. I'm Natalie Brunson Wheeler. I am an attorney in the government relations group at State Farm. Our government relations area is the area that, quite frankly, does the public outface and external relations with legislators and regulators. I've been with State Farm for a little over 33 years, and prior to that, I was in private practice in Jacksonville, Florida. Before I kick it off to my colleagues, I'm going to share something with you that no one asked me to. One of the things that individuals look for when they come to a lawyer is they look for confidence. And when they look for confidence, they're going to look into your eyes and believe or not believe what they tell you. And so I'm going to ask as many of you as possible if you could turn your videos on so that we could see who we are speaking to this evening. Thanks, Mita.
Thank you, Natalie. Well, Phelan, why don't you follow up since you're here, Natalie's colleague here in Bloomington?
Yeah, hi everyone. My name is Phelan Simpkins. I am newer to the corporate law division. I started in August of last year, so peak pandemic, basically. I like to refer to myself as the baby lawyer or the golden child, whichever one works for my team. I work for the intellectual property unit, and I know you guys are probably thinking IP at State Farm. What does that even mean? We'll talk about it. But I am from the University of Missouri. So I am a Midwest region boy of the Nabosa family. And I also serve on the national committee. So I'm happy that some of you guys took the time out tonight to come hang with us.
Ellen, thank you very much. So why don't we go down to Louisiana, as we've got a Louisiana partnership here because Natalie's originally from Louisiana. And so Bridget, that is where you work with for State Farm. Could you tell us about yourself?
Yes, I'm here in Lafayette, Louisiana, and I appreciate the opportunity to present on this panel this evening. I've been with State Farm for almost 20 years. I went straight to Claims Litigation Counsel from law school. Again, I've been here in Lafayette, Louisiana, the entirety of my legal career. Our office handles a variety of cases, spanning from automobile litigation to farm coverage to slip and falls, that sort of thing. So we cover a large area of Louisiana in claims litigation, and we also carry a various amount of different types of lawsuits.
Thank you very much, Bridget. And Roger, you're next.
Hi, good evening, everyone. My name is Roger Johnson, and I currently work in the Orlando CLC office for State Farm, where we handle PIP coverage and bodily injury claims, and I'll get to that a little bit more later on. I have been in the insurance defense world for a little over 5 years now. Prior to that, I was a public defender, and I received my law degree from Family College of Law in Orlando. Happy to be here.
Thank you very much. And so now we're going to ask you a little bit more about what you do. So Natalie, you are at Corporate In-House Counsel. Can you tell us about your area of work and that legislative regulatory responses on insurance and business related issues?
Sure, Mita. So go ahead, Terrence, do you have a question? No, go ahead, ask. If you have a question, just jump right in.
No, I didn't have a question, I'm sorry.
Okay, not a problem. So guys, I work in what is called our government relations area. And basically what that means is it's sort of how a bill becomes a law is really what we do. As a little girl, I thought growing up, I wanted to, one day run for either the state or federal Senate or a representative seat. I have been blessed to have come through the ranks of State Farm and actually work in an area where we affect public policy and we put laws in place. Probably one of the things that you will all be familiar with, because while you are removed from being teenagers, you're not that far removed, would be the graduated driver's license laws. So all of those laws that, prohibited you from having all of your friends in the car at the same time when you were 15 and 16, you can thank people like me and my colleagues because we put those things in place. I like to say that what we do is real world stuff, because this is what you are going to learn about the law. In whatever area of the law you go into, you get to look at a situation, you get to review what the current law is, and then you get to make a decision. Are we going to maintain the status quo, or am I going to go out and change something? And you can change something in the courtroom, but you do it case by case. When I go into the halls of Congress, I can make a sweeping change of individuals' lifestyles with one vote. And so that in essence is what I do. Mita?
Thank you very much. Yes. Are there some other areas of corporate law that you'd like to tell the audience about?
State Farm is a company. I did not realize when I came to State Farm the number of areas of law that one could practice. I started out in Jacksonville, Florida, and I was a counsel to our auto claims unit. So we have auto claims counsel, we have fire claims counsel, because I did that as well. I counseled our life and health section. And then I came up to Bloomington and I managed litigation. Before I got to Bloomington, I worked in a couple of CLC offices, actually defending State Farm insureds. We have 25 sections in our corporate law department, and we do everything from HR counseling to intellectual property, which I'm gonna be honest, I don't know what those folks do. They're like the tax people. I don't know what they do either. But we have a federal affairs group. We have a public policy resource group. Almost anything you could think of in the field of law, you could do at State Farm, because we have a completely different division, our claim litigation counsel division, where we have about, I don't know, what is it, 37, 38 8 offices across the United States, and they are litigation focused. So we are definitely a company with a variety of things that you can do, and that's good for me because I get bored easily. And so, you know, I did something for a couple of years and then I was off to something else.
Thanks, Natalie. And Natalie is a good friend of mine, so I'm going to try not to call her Nat. But I almost did. That might happen. So, Phelan, you mentioned being the newer member of the team. So, would you tell us now about kind of what it's like to be the new member and what you do at State Farm and about that intellectual property law that Nat said she doesn't know anything about?
I mean, I too, to be honest, don't know anything about it. I feel like I make it up every day. So I feel like that's an accurate assessment of what my team does, right? But like I said, I'm new to State Farm. So if you haven't guessed it, I came to State Farm straight out of law school. So yes, I am in-house counsel for Fortune 50 or 30 something company straight out of law school. And I know you guys probably like, what? That's crazy. And I handle intellectual property matters. So for those of you who are probably like, what does that mean? I don't understand or probably have the slightest idea, just to break it down. I handle copyright, trademark, patents, and trade secrets things that all relate to State Farm. And now you're probably like, what in the world does State Farm even have a patent on? Like, I don't understand. Drive Safe and Save. I'm sure some of you have other forms of insurance that have a very similar program that saves discounts if you drive like a safe driver, right? State Farm holds a patent in that. So we have the ability to police, license, and do, et cetera, with that patent to monetize, which gives us some money because we had inventors who thought of it first and made the idea. And so here we are, right? What I do on the everyday, day-to-day basis, though, I handle a lot of copyright questions and trademark questions when it comes to the enterprise and what we can, can't do, probably shouldn't do, and then everything in the gray area in between. And as you all know, being in law school, all the law is great, right? So every day, like I said, I don't know what I'm doing because I'm pretty much making it up by case scenario. But it's been really fun. I've had the opportunity to do things that I would argue most people coming straight out of law school would either be afraid to do, wouldn't be put on right out the gate. And some of my responsibilities have stacked since I've started and passed the bar. So things are very different for me now as the new boy. And I feel like I'm losing my newness since we keep hiring people. But for now, I'm holding on to it. But that's just a little bit about my team and what we do. We're a smaller team in the corporate law division. So we touch everything from marketing. So Jake from State Farm, I haven't met him yet. Fingers crossed. Haven't met Jake yet, but I've done a lot of things for Jake and his TikTok. So there's a lot of stuff that I do that you guys see forward facing that comes through me on the back end of my team.
Thank you very much. I appreciate that, Phelan. And it is very interesting. And I don't think people realize how much copyright is part of every organization. And so certainly in the insurance industry, we do have people that create and we have trademarks for those, but then we also have things that we want to use that other people have done. And we want to make sure that we don't infringe upon their copyrights and trademarks. So thank you. You made that very interesting.
I would like to point out from all the videos that I can see, nobody's violating anybody's trademark or copyright right now. So I'm proud of all of you.
Very good. Always the attorney evaluating. Bridget, talk to us about claim litigation counsel, please.
What our office does is once a claim is not able to be settled for whatever reason and it goes into litigation, those files come to our office where our managing attorney assigns the files to the different attorneys in our office. We handle a lot of different claims. The majority of the claims that we handle in our office, though, are automobile litigation. And that entails research on liability issues, lots of research on medical conditions. We read a lot of medical records. We take depositions of plaintiffs, experts, things that we need in order to go to trial if necessary. We do ADR, alternative dispute resolution through mediations, and we go to trial if we have to. So we basically take those claims that can't be resolved and we prepare them to be resolved through litigation. Now, I will say this, that a lot of the claims that we handle, a lot of the suits that we handle end up settling before trial, but we still have to prepare for the possibility that we will end up at trial. So we do a lot of different things in our office, but it entails a lot of reading, a lot of medical understanding, a lot of being in the courtroom pretty often. So if you are looking to become a litigator, CLC would be a great place for you.
Thanks, Bridget. And Roger, you also work in CLC, but some different bodies of litigation. Can you talk about that, please?
Sure. So I work in our Orlando CLC office, and we mainly handle, well, not mainly, we handle automobile claims, but our office is split into two different departments, the bodily injury department and the PIP, personal injury protection department. So just kind of briefly go over what that means. So bodily injury speaks to some of what Bridget was talking about. In those instances, we are representing State Farm insureds in claims that have been made against them due to an automobile accident. And so that involves, like she said, a lot of reading of medical records and things of that nature. And if the case doesn't settle, there's always that potential for trial. On the PIP side, it's a little bit different. In that instance, our client is the company and specifically the adjuster. And what's being argued in that particular situation is a medical provider is making a claim that the insurance company did not pay for a particular procedure the appropriate amount that they should have. The funny thing about working in PIP a lot of times is that these disputes can be over something as minimal as 5 cents. Because it's always about how that calculation was made. So that's something that we often laugh about. Me? I think that's me. Heard some feedback. So that's something that we laugh about, and a lot of times these issues can go on for long periods of time, and what is also funny about it is that the case can be worth 50 cents, but the plaintiff's attorney could end up getting thousands of dollars of attorney's fees, especially here in Florida. I've worked in both types. I've done BI and I've done PIP. And essentially our office is, even though we are State Farm employees, it basically runs like a law office. We have managing attorney who manages the entire office. And we function just like any other law firm. It's just that we don't bill hours. So that's pretty much what I do in a nutshell and what my office does.
Roger, thank you very much. And thank you for mentioning about the difference between your office and a law firm. I should mention for our audience that as you look at our openings in CLC, each one is named as a law firm. So it doesn't say State Farm in the title of the office, but is a litigation counsel doing work for State Farm. And that information is in the job ad. Are there any other differences between your offices and a more traditional law firm?
Is that for me?
Yes, Bridget, that'd be great.
I'm sorry, I didn't know if that was to Roger. The similarities, as Roger stated, was that we have a managing attorney who assigns files. She reviews files to make sure that we're pushing them to some type of final resolution. We're different in that we do not bill. I've not ever worked in an outside firm, so I've never had to deal with the dreaded billable hour. But I've heard the horror stories about it. Luckily, I came here straight from law school, so I was able to bypass all of that. But our files are assigned to us. We are not put with a senior partner to help them. We are directly responsible for handling the files. So once it's ours, it is ours from beginning to end. So that's a little bit different about what I understand outside counsel does with new associates.
Thank you very much. I think I also understand that you don't have to go out and find work because it comes in and is assigned to you.
We have plenty of work. Right now, my inventory is about 100 files, and they are steadily coming in. So We do not have to look for clients. We represent State Farm or State Farm and its insureds in litigation. So those files come directly from the claims office to us. And that is all we handle in our office. So we do not go out looking for clients. We don't have to look for customers. We don't have to beat the bushes for work. So that's one of the great things about being an in-house counsel.
Thank you. And as a talent acquisition specialist, I'll also tell our audience that all the folks you see here, we have a very competitive compensation and benefits. And so those are things as well that maybe you wouldn't have starting out in a law firm that we are very proud to be able to offer to all of our employees at State Farm. So let me go to the next question, because Roger, your office has interns. Can you talk a little bit about your college and law school intern programs?
Sure. So in my office, and like many other CLC offices, we do have interns. The way that we do it in Orlando is that we have a undergraduate student intern and a law student intern. And just to kind of go over a little bit of what they do, they assist in all areas. If we have special research projects that need to be done, that's something that we often give to our interns to complete. Individual attorneys, if they need something researched, we can send that to our interns as well. Assisting with writing motions, accompanying us to court if we have hearings. That hasn't really been a part of it so much, actually going to court because we've been virtual a lot, but even, shadowing virtual hearings and things like that. And they basically have the opportunity to sort of go along with us attorneys through the course of litigation. And so you get to see a case from the beginning and see how it resolves through many different ways, whether it be through a motion for summary judgment or even trial. Some of the things that we look for in our office in interns is an interest in litigation, because as we've said, in CLC offices, litigation is basically what we do. We're litigators, whether it's on the BI side or the PIP side. So interest in litigation, experience in moot court, trial advocacy is something that we look for. Also, law journal work and extracurricular leadership. All of those things are things that we look for when we offer internship opportunities. It's something that I wish I had the opportunity to do when I was in law school, to be in a civil litigation office and to get some of the experiences that our interns get. They stay busy because, as I said, we can all give them different projects and things to work on. And we always have things going in the PIP arena because there are always issues popping up that really require a lot of detailed research and things of that nature.
Thank you. Now I'm going to go to Phelan, because Phelan, you were an intern at State Farm. So can you talk about the corporate law internship experience that you had?
Yeah, for sure. So for those of you who already know about the OCI process, on-campus interviews, that's how I got my internship. And I interviewed at the start of my 2L year. I don't know if the pandemic has changed that scope, but I interviewed for State Farm at the start of my 2L year. I saw the job description on our academic portal, and I didn't think I qualified, to be honest with you. I believe at the time it said top 10% of your class, this certain GPA, journal experience, et cetera, et cetera. While I had the journal experience, I was not necessarily the top 10% of my class. It was actually a lot lower than that. But I was like, okay, I'm throwing caution to the wind. I'm gonna do this anyway because I've had real world experience. I've worked before I went back to law school. I feel like my resume stacks up to somebody who's in the top 10% of the class. And just because I'm not the best in the classroom doesn't mean I'm not a great person. So applied, went through the interview process, got the second round interview, came down to Bloomington, Illinois. I haven't been to Bloomington since my undergraduate days. So I'm looking at it now through a completely different lens of, okay, could I potentially live here? Can I make a paycheck, right? I get into corporate and I'm interviewing with, I have 2 rounds of interviews. I interview with a couple of attorneys, counsel as we're called. And then I had the interview with the big wigs. And I was a little intimidated, but I like to have fun. So just showcase the personality. And then from there, I got the call in the middle of my evidence class, sprinted out of that evidence class because if you were going to deny me, you were going to deny me on the phone. Ended up getting the internship. So I was, like I said, peak pandemic. So originally my internship was supposed to be in person. State Farm was gracious enough to keep us. I ended up interning over the summer of 2020. That sounds right. All completely virtual at home. Great experience. The attorneys made the effort to reach out to me. So I didn't meet just people in the CLD, which is where I work here in Bloomington, the corporate law division. I also met attorneys in the CLC. So originally, for those fun tidbit, I was supposed to originally work in the Chicago CLC after graduation. That was an offer on the table for me, but I enjoyed my experience meeting my Chicago people, the Houston people, and then I really enjoyed the Bloomington people. And Bloomington's not that bad, to be honest with you. So I ended up saying, okay, I'm coming down to Bloomington, Illinois. And like we stated earlier, the compensation's also not something to bat your eyes at. So I ended up down here. During my internship, though, I got the exposure of a lifetime to different practice areas that I didn't know State Farm did. Like Natalie was saying earlier, I didn't even know an insurance company had all of these options to do. I did work for the data privacy unit. I did work for the intellectual property unit, which is where I now work. I did work for our contracts and corporate counseling division. There's somebody else I'm missing, but I did work for them. But like I said, like Natalie said, we have so many different departments in Bloomington that you have options. Anything that you want to do, you have a chance to spread your wings and do it. And one thing I appreciate now being on this side, if I ever wanted to make the switch, if I ever felt comfortable having that conversation, I could have it to get a different experience. So my internship is the reason that I am here at State Farm now, straight out of law school. And it has been fun. I took the risk, and I always encourage people to take the risk. Have something to back it though, if you're taking the risk. But I couldn't be happier with what I did.
Thank you
So
very
Mita,
much. Natalie, yes.
Mita, can I tell an internship program story? And I'm telling this story because I want you guys to know one of the benefits of coming to a company like State Farm is that once you're in the door, there is not the senior partner, junior partner, associate dichotomy that you see in major law firms. There just is not. So this is my internship story. As I told you, I do legislative regulatory law. Yes, I have a law degree. Yes, I have practiced law for a long time. But do I consider myself a real lawyer right now? No. So I am at my desk. I have the state of Michigan, which is a shit show for insurance. A problem comes to my desk. It is a $5 million problem that I have neither the time nor the expertise to deal with. So what do? I do what I always do now. I go to my door, I stand at my door, and I look up and down the hall. And they say, Natalie, what are you looking for? And I say, I'm looking for a young lawyer. And they were like, Natalie, we can't find you a young lawyer right now. I said, then find me an intern. And sure enough, an intern walked into my office, and I gave that intern a $5 million problem. And I said, I'm gonna need you to come back with an answer. I'll be back in town next week. I left town, I came back in town. The intern came into my office. They gave me the solution. We pitched that to the general counsel, and that is what we did. See, that's why you want to come and kick it with us, because you will learn. And here's the thing, that $5 million answer, it worked. It could have not worked. And if it hadn't worked, it would have been like, oh, well, I guess that bonus is going to look a little different this year. But it's all real. Okay, sorry, Mita.
No apology. That was the perfect story. Thank you for sharing. It is the story of at State Farm. We all get to learn and we all get to contribute. And that is what creates a fulfilling career. And so, like Natalie, I've been at State Farm 33 years, a fulfilling career because we get to solve problems every day. Um, Natalie, is there anything else that you would mention that would make a candidate competitive for a law career at State Farm? We've heard many different things from the group so far, but is there anything else you would mention? And if not, would you tell us a little bit about Congressional Black Caucus?
So here's what I'm going to tell you, that you're going to need to be competitive anywhere you go. You must be transparent. You must have a North Star, and that North Star has to be grounded in what is ethical, what is right, and what is true. And you cannot ever move off that position. So this morning, I'm on vacation, but I'm never really on vacation. And I am on my way to the train station, and I get a call from our clients, and we're talking through something, and it is very, very difficult. And during that conversation, I have to say, the North Star is we are going to always err on the side of what is right, what is just, and what is ethical. That is what a lawyer is called to do. If you take the oath, then stand by it, and stand by it every single day. And if you can't do that, then don't take the oath.
Thank you very much. Phelan, I'll come back to you. Talk about support that State Farm provides to interns and new attorneys.
Yeah. So kind of like Natalie said, I mean, it is trial by fire, right? But I appreciate the level of support that I had as an intern. So it progresses. As an intern, you're not babied. And I think that's so important for anybody who's looking for a career in the legal field, or if you have my learning style. I think that you have to, the way to learn things is by trying and then going to ask the question, right? Whereas the question develops, okay, let me go ask this. There is no dumb question, and people are there to help you. And I learned that during my internship. Being completely detached from the department, you have to work smart, but then you have to ask the questions, because as somebody who had no idea about the insurance industry and its regulations and what can and can't be done, there were questions that I had to ask in order to complete projects. So nobody ever turned me away. People were more than willing to have coffees with me, talk through the issue, even if it wasn't a scheduled meeting, hop on the call and say, okay, have you thought about this? And they gave me other things to think about and other perspectives in order for me to flesh out my ideas. Now, being an actual attorney in the office, I also get to offer that support to my colleagues, but as being, like I told you all, the baby lawyer, as I like to call it, it's very different because there's still a lot that I don't know in terms of a corporate entity, right? So you all hear the term State Farm and you're like, oh, it's a company. If I can break it down for you, yeah, it's a company with a lot of arms. It's like a tree. So many branches that may not interact on a day-to-day basis directly, but always have some sort of impact with each other, right? So I've taken the initiative, and so many people are great about this, reaching out to know who's on that other side to get the perspective of what it's like to be in the business area that you're affecting or not affecting, or how this will affect the enterprise overall. Every week we have this thing called State Farm Nice, and it's almost like creepy how State Farm Nice is State Farm Nice, but it's real. It's effective. People will answer your question. I love a good IM, like a quick IM, or if you have the time in the morning, go to Starbucks, go upstairs to the cafeteria, grab something and talk through an issue. There's not a shortage of knowledge in the legal department. And I love to soak up that knowledge because people are leaving every day, retirements, et cetera, and being the next person up in the law department, you kind of have to put that foot forward. And a lot of people will come in your office and put that foot forward for you. So being willing to take the initiative and soak in the knowledge has been something State Farm has been great at. And I think if anybody's looking to grow in their legal career, even if you don't stay here, which I think would suck, but if you don't stay here, you're gonna learn a lot in your time here that you'll be dangerous, wherever you go, whatever you do. And I think that's so important in this journey that you all are on.
Thank you. And I'm correct that you started before you passed the bar, correct? And then passed the bar as an employee.
I did. I started before I was an actual attorney. I started in August of 2020, so I was a law associate. And then when bar results came out, it took until November when I got sworn in to be an actual counsel. So I was still doing actual work in that interim period. And then I started giving legal advice when I became a lawyer.
Thank you very much. So we have gone about 40 minutes. Let me ask if there are any questions from our audience. You can put it in the chat or you can come off mute. And I will mention while I'm waiting for any questions that on Friday, there's going to be a networking session and we're going to join that. And so on that, Roger, Phelan, and Bridget, will be part of the networking session. So of course, they'll answer your questions about the law and I'll answer any questions you have about just being an employee of State Farm Insurance, but be there with them. And so we do hope you'll attend that Friday from 7:30 p.m. Central Time or 8:30 Eastern Time. We also would love to have your feedback from our session tonight. So let me see if I can get this link. I'm gonna put it in the chat. It's a Survey Monkey, really short. And so if you wouldn't mind clicking on that and then completing that for us, we'd appreciate your feedback. But I'm going to ask again, are there any questions for our panel? Oh, Christian has a question. So Roger and Natalie, what were your experiences transitioning to State Farm from a different legal practice?
Should I start? Natalie, okay, I'll start. So my path was a little different. I started my career, as I mentioned, as a criminal defense attorney. I worked at the public defender's office for almost 3 years and then went into civil litigation. And one of the things that I tell people, it's about when it comes to, well, someone asks, okay, well, how do you go from criminal law to civil litigation? How do you even get a civil litigation job coming from criminal law? So one of the things that I made a real big push to tell potential employers when I was seeking a little civil litigation job was just not so much to talk about the criminal law background, but to talk about the skills that I had developed as a criminal defense attorney, particularly at the public defender's office. And, you know, I had numerous trials, I argued numerous motions. I was in court almost every day. You know, it was a large caseload with many different issues and challenges. And so patience was very important in dealing with that caseload. So it's mainly talking about the skills that you develop in other practice areas and how they can transfer to that role that you're seeking. For me, transitioning, it was a bit of a learning curve. I went from the public defender's office to a private law firm doing PIP, insurance defense litigation, where I had to bill. It was a whole new world. But I found that some of those foundational skills that I had learned from the PD's office were very helpful in transitioning into that role. And it's real, like with anything as lawyers, I always tell people, once you get that degree, it kind of opens the door to everything. And I always say, I can learn anything, you know, just give me the opportunity to have some time to adjust and to just get comfortable with the practice area. So there was a bit of a learning curve, but really honestly taking those prior skills and just finding out just figuring out how to mesh them with this new area of practice was invaluable. And so I would say to anyone who starts in one place and wants to go to another place, don't be discouraged by that, because really what I have found, because I have so many colleagues who did criminal defense at the PD's office or worked as prosecutors who are now doing civil litigation insurance defense practice, because I think all of the word has gone around that we really can handle the weight of what this position sometimes bring. When I worked at another company doing in-house work, PIP, insurance defense, there was a period where there was this one issue that was pressing, and we had MSJ hearings, multiple ones a week, sometimes in a different county. And so I was in court 2 to 3 times a week. And that was something that I could handle because I had dealt with that in my previous position as a PD. Different area, but some of the same, issues and things of that nature. So I would just say, just really take those prior skills and find a way to mesh those prior skills with a new practice if it's coming from one area to another.
Thanks, Roger. Natalie, would you like to speak to that as well?
Yeah, lawyers are lawyers. Once you get into law school and get past that first year, then as far as I'm concerned, because I do remember my second and third year, once you get past the first year, everybody's a lawyer. You think a certain way, you're able to easily translate those thinking skills from practice area to practice area. So, I was a plaintiff's lawyer. And then I came to be a defense lawyer. I've had so many different practice areas at State Farm, and you just transfer it. It's relatively easy.
You describe what I call tangents. You take kind of the circle of your career, and every now and then a piece of that goes to something else. And then you start a new circle, and then a piece of that goes to something else. And many of us do that through a lifetime of career. And in law, certainly you use some significant skills from one stage to another. So there was a question about work-life balance. And do you find that State Farm empowers a work-life balance? So Vanusa, thank you for the question. Who would like to respond to that?
I can attest to that. I actually had twins when I was in law school. My third year in law school, I had two girls. In November, I was able to come back and finish up school and take the bar exam. And I had started working, kind of like Phelan. I started working there before I got my bar results. So I was working a full-time job. My twins were at daycare. I would have to leave sometimes because somebody was sick or the babysitter was sick or something would go wrong. And I'm the poster child for Murphy's Law. If something will go wrong, it's going to happen to me. So I can attest that I was never, talked to, fussed at. I was given the opportunity to do what I needed to do to take care of my girls. The expectation from my managing attorney at the time was that as long as I get my work done, if I can get all my work done in one day, then I don't care where you go the rest of the week.
Pretty much.
Pretty much. So it's a great company to work for, especially if you're concerned about that work-life balance, having time to do the things that you enjoy, not having to work into the evening on weekends, that sort of thing. So State Farm is a great company to work for and will allow you the time to do those things that are important to you.
Thank you, Bridget. Anyone else want to speak to that question? Well, I'm the talent acquisition specialist, so I'll attest to that as well. Aside from tonight, when we're all here in the evening with you and enjoying it, we really do encourage people to have a good work-life balance, and we have benefits. LifeWorks encourages our physical and mental health, kind of a live well, be well programs at State Farm. There's a lot of support, and we really want people to be well-rounded and to feel like their life needs are met and that they enjoy the work that they do. So there was a question that came from Ambrose. With so many lines at State Farm, are counsel broken down by area of law in addition to corporate litigation, et cetera?
Yeah, they are. They are. So each section, so we have the Claim Litigation Counsel Office, and all of those offices, they participate in litigation. And then in the corporate section, we have an HR counseling section. We have an auto claims counsel section, a fire claims counsel section, a life health counseling section. You have reg section that has state counsel, which is what I do, federal affairs counsel. You have Phelan's group with intellectual property. We have a general counseling section that counsels simply on contracts. We have an investment counsel section. We have a tax counsel section. It's a lot of lawyers. They do a lot of stuff. I'm with the warm and fuzzies.
Thank you. We do have a lot of lawyers. And you made me think, Natalie, from something you mentioned at the very beginning about law in for the 16-year-olds and 15-year-olds and driving. So State Farm has a very long and strong history of helping people be safe. People don't want to pay more than enough for insurance. They want those costs to be reasonable, but they also want to survive accidents. They want to not have accidents if possible. They want their homes to be safe. And so there's a lot we do in terms of research, but also in terms of law to help people to do things that keep people safe, keep property safe, keep your costs down as a consumer. And so that those are some of the things that Natalie was speaking to, and kind of the full range of things that we do. But some of that gets to Phelan's work in terms of intellectual property, because somebody devises, a new way of roofing so that the roofs don't tear off during a tornado, for example. So Phelan, the next question does come back to you. It talks about intellectual property and data security. And the question is, are those distinct areas similar to practice groups?
I think this is related to what Natalie just said. Nope, we're separate. We're completely separate. So I live in the world of IP, and then we have our information data privacy group, which is its own separate group. Well, I can walk to them if I wanted to, but we're our own separate group. So everybody has their own unit inside of the law department. We're so big, like Natalie said, we take up a good amount of space in corporate too. So it's a good time. You get to meet a lot of different people in different areas.
You also get to know a lot of people outside of your law area as well, because I know as a human resources member of the team, I know our human resources counsel very well. That's a person that I can email or call or send an IM to and say, I've got a question. Can you help me with whether or not we should take this action, or what are some things we should consider? So there's a lot of consulting that goes on internally as well as the work that's done externally. Those were all the questions I had so far. Anyone else have a question? You can put it in the IM or in the chat, or you can come off mute to do so. Enough. Go ahead, Natalie.
Nita, if there are no other questions, so this will be the only time that I will be able to share with you guys. I'm an AKA and I'm at our regional conference, so I'm gonna be kicking it with my swords. That's just how that goes. But here's what I want to let you know. I want to wish each of you the very, very best in your legal careers. But I want to share this with you about State Farm. Whether you're able to come and have an opportunity with us as an employee or not. State Farm is a group of individuals. People say we're a company. We are a company, but that company is made up of people. People like Phelan and Nita and Bridget and Roger. We come to work every day collectively to try to help individuals recover from the unexpected. No matter what you hear about us for the rest of your careers, please remember that. I was a girl who started out suing insurance companies, and I came to State Farm because I thought, let me go and see what they're really about. I only planned on being with State Farm for 2 years. And 33 years later, what I can tell you is that State Farm is a good neighbor. You guys take care.
Thank you, Natalie. Now, see, she threw down the Greek gauntlet. So I'm a Delta. If there are any Deltas on the call, well, I'm glad that you're here as well. But she is my very good friend. So all in love.
So we're doing this. All right. So for all the alphas on the call, shout out to y'all. Cool. Awesome. 06.
Through to all the
But-
Omegas, 1911.
I guess. But really quick, you guys will get a chance. I'll be back Friday. If anyone would join the networking panel, I would love to see your faces to come talk to Roger, Bridget, and I and Nita a little bit more about State Farm in depth. But my biggest thing to you all, as an aside from my good neighbor hat, I also run a podcast called How to Get Away with the JD. For my 3 L's, I'm sorry, this kind of doesn't apply to you anymore, but for 2 L's, 1 L's, and then any pre-law students, I like to have open and candid conversations, right? I like to let you all know some of the things that I wish I knew going into law school and the things that I learned in law school as a first-gen law student. But then also, one thing that I really want you all to think about as you go through the rest of your journey is, how do you make yourself marketable? How do you make yourself stand out? How, in this sea of everything that's going on, because law school is a lot, my 2L year was god awful. So anybody who's a 2L, I feel your pain. 3 L's hang in there, 1 L's, it only gets worse. But how do you make yourself stand out when your classmates are saying one thing, your law school is forcing you to do this, or you feel like all these other societal pressures to go and do all these other things, right? You have to find yourself. You have to find your voice. You have to find your anchor. You have to find your why. And from there, how do you best practice that every day moving forward in the classroom, outside of the classroom, in your extracurriculars. Once you get into practice, what does that look like for you? So find a way to make yourself marketable. Like I said earlier, take those leaps for things that you feel like you may not qualify for because on paper it says X, Y, Z. Just because something on paper says something doesn't mean your intangible skills, the things that people can or cannot see, won't qualify you for to open a door that otherwise would have been closed if you didn't take that risk, right? I would love to get to know more of you more as somebody who's a former Nabosa man and straight out of law school. And if you guys want, you can add me on LinkedIn, send me a personal message. I like to keep those open lines of communication. I'm all about mentorship. But my caveat is if anybody reaches out about mentorship, please be serious because I don't have time to waste. As you all have heard, we are busy in a lot of different areas of what we do. But I would always love to talk to you and think things through. If you don't end up at State Farm, perfectly fine. You all will find jobs in this legal community. I want to be a resource to help you, and I know some folks. So,
Phelan, thank you, because you gave me a good lead into something I was thinking about. So resources. So one is LinkedIn, and all 5 of us are on LinkedIn. We welcome you to connect with us, ask us questions. Of course, thank you again for mentioning Friday. We'll be on at 7:30. We hope that you'll join us then. In our profiles, you for this event, for the convention, you will see our LinkedIn profiles, but you can also look for our names. Also, I've put in the chat some additional resources. So on our jobs page with State Farm, there's a link to our intern page I've provided, a link to the legal career overview at State Farm. You've heard it from the people who do the work, but if you need to go back and kind of refresh what is that all about and want some more detail, that is available there. Also, I've linked to the page that has our current openings. Those are all right now full-time openings. We usually post for internships in the fall of the year for the following summer. And so the current summer internships have been filled. But we do encourage you to keep an eye out on our website. We start in the fall, but it usually goes from about August to probably January or so, maybe even February or March, with internships being posted. They're posted for a corporate office and for our CLCs around the country. So there are opportunities to work in different places. And I will add, like Natalie and I and others, we are not at home anymore. We left home, found our way at State Farm and found many opportunities, have lived in multiple places even. And so I would encourage you not to only think about where you are, where school is, or where you live, to really think about an opportunity to explore more of the United States. As I call it, I've been on the See America plan with State Farm. I've visited places I never thought I'd be, and I've lived in places I never thought I lived. And it's created a wonderful life for me and my family. And I'm hoping that Christian, who's my son up in there, is agreeing. It's provided wonderful opportunities for us as a family. And so I see the LinkedIn links here. Sandy Carlock is our colleague who's also on tonight. And so she has provided her LinkedIn as well. She is my coworker in talent acquisition. And so she is actually the talent acquisition specialist that works with our intern candidates and our intern openings. So if you're interested in an internship for next year, for summer of 2023, Sandy probably be the person that you work with directly. Do we have any other questions? We have 6 more minutes. I did put the survey link in again. The Survey Monkey, I'm gonna put it in one more time, just in case anybody missed it. But we really would like to have your feedback. We hope to come back and have an opportunity to meet with students again in future years. And so we wanna make this the best for your interests and information that you would like to have, so that your needs are met in terms of spending your time with us. Are there any other questions from our team of panelists? Anything else you'd like to share?
I would like to say something, Nita. Whenever you apply for a job with State Farm, and if you don't get it or you don't get a second interview, don't let that dissuade you from applying again. The needs of the company changes. When I was hired, the office was actually looking to expand. So they could take on someone that didn't have any litigation experience. Other times our office has someone who's leaving or retiring, and we need someone to come in who can take a full caseload at that time. So if you apply for a job with State Farm, whether it be in CLC or in corporate, just because you're not hired that first go around, do not let that stop you from applying again. The needs change. What you may not get the first go around, something else may come up that you have experience in. So be open to keeping up with the job openings with State Farm, both in corporate and CLC. And make sure that you're staying on top of that and making your interests known. I know we have people that have applied at our office before, and although they may not have gotten a job, they call and just to touch base, to say, hey, let me know if something comes up and that sort of thing. So if it's truly something that you want to do, make sure that you're staying up to date on the openings and applying every time that you see something that you might be interested in.
Thank you very much, Bridget. And I'll mention that if you go to our jobs website, there's a link that says join our talent neighborhood. So if you don't see something that's a match for you right now, or you don't get that first opportunity right away, you can join our talent neighborhood and get information when other positions are posted in the areas you're interested in. And so that's a really good way to keep in touch. But I tell people, if it's a time when you're actively looking for an opportunity, pick a day of the week. So you can use this for any job you're looking for. Pick a day of the week, and every week that day, take a look at that organization and see what's available. And at State Farm, we're posting all the time. And if you take a look once a week, you probably won't miss anything. Anything else from our panelists? That was very helpful, Bridget. Thank you. Bridget, you do pro bono services, and I know that State Farm values that. Can you talk about why that's important to you?
Well, my pro bono philosophy rests with my belief that, you don't forget where you come from. I'm from a small town in Louisiana that didn't have very many career opportunities. So as soon as I became an attorney, I was excited about providing legal services to people who ordinarily would not be able to afford it. Our Bar Association has a separate part that's called Lafayette Volunteer Lawyers. My first pro bono project was helping to get homeless people birth certificates so that they could get IDs to apply for social services and to get entrance in homeless shelters. So basically what we would do is on Thursdays, we would go to an office of this agency that offers services to the indigent community. And we would get their information, apply for the birth certificates. We had a grant that we would use to pay for the birth certificates. They would come back in a few weeks and they would pick it up at no charge to them. We also have the one that I'm most excited about is the protective order panel. We would help people who had a temporary restraining order obtain a protective order. And that requires adjudication. So for every file that I took, I had to go to court. It was different from what I was doing for State Farm, but it still gave me the opportunity to get more experience in presenting evidence, in talking and questioning witnesses and that sort of thing. And all the pro bono work that I've done is during work hours. State Farm is a great advocate for pro bono services, and I know that the people that we help really appreciate it.
Bridget, thank you. And we're at 8:30, so Bridget, Roger, Phelan, and Natalie, thank you very much. To everyone who joined us today, thank you very much for joining us. We hope that we've given you information that's very helpful, and we look forward to meeting you and any of your friends who have questions on Friday evening. We'd love to be able to answer those questions then as well. Thank you and have a good evening and enjoy the rest of the convention.
Thanks, everybody.
Thank you.
Thank you.
You're very welcome.